Because his healing didn't come from medicine alone, right? It came from being part of actually something bigger. And that's what thriving looks like. The topic, or rather the idea that I wanted to share is really around how do we create, thriving communities. So I think when we look at thriving communities, I think essentially, and from what all the other speakers have shared, we're not just looking for neighborhoods and communities where people are just merely existing and just living. But really what we want to see is them being able to thrive, right? Thrive in a way where there's connection, there's purpose, there's meaning. And I think what we would like to see is to see a place where our seniors, our families, including our very vulnerable families, not just being recipients of care and receiving care, but really being also participants and contributing towards care. And that sounds like a great idea. And I'm actually glad to say that we are already starting to see that happen in the communities, right? We are seeing people volunteer, mentor, lead different programs. And I think when we start seeing that, we do see communities becoming a lot more connected and becoming stronger. So in this neighborhoods, I think the idea here is that we don't want to just see health and social services work side and side. We want to see that increasingly being guided by data. And already this morning we've been presented with quite a few pieces of data, as well as being enabled through technology. And I think Nigel did a fabulous sharing about how technology can be used for good to connect people, right, and to build communities. So I do think that a lot of the things that we talked about, and even the idea that we're sharing here, is not something far off. We are already starting to see glimpses of it. But this is the simple and bold idea that I'm hoping that we can all work towards together. The key thing is, how can we make this a reality, not just in pockets of communities, but how can we make this a reality in every neighborhood? For all 1.5 residents, that we all collectively serve in the north and the central part of Singapore. And I go back to, I guess, the big, aspiration we all have, because if we want to be really serious about, adding 15 million healthy years to the population, we do need to constantly rethink, where care gets delivered and how we do it. And I think that's the entire premise, of why we are coming today, sharing some of these different ideas, being challenged, with the different messages. So let me try and add a little bit more to, to already the rich content that's been shared this morning. So firstly, I think we often think of, care as being delivered, of course, in, clinics, in hospitals. But what if the real work of care, and I think we've heard this a few times, happens right in our neighborhoods, right? And I think that's what population health is all about. Places where people can be seen, can be heard, and feel connected, right? And that's the future that we are trying to build. At the same time, I think we all know that even though, we have got really great, healthcare systems, social care systems, passionate practitioners, and individuals, but the systems themselves sometimes do remain quite fragmented, right? And that's why we need to put in a lot of intentional effort in trying to bring it all together. So health services treat illness, social services will treat loneliness, mental health, strained family relations. But the lives of people don't come in those neat boxes, and I think Charles shared in that very, apt diagram, that in the same household, there are all these different issues that are, in a sense, plaguing, the household. So let me share a story, and this is where the video comes in. Let me just share a story of Mr. Abdul Rahman. So Mr. Abdul Rahman is actually a resident here in Woodlands, someone that we've been journeying with. So let's hear his story, and then from there, let's see how we can take some of these things forward.
My name is Abdul Rahman bin Kadi. I have diabetes, I have high blood pressure, cholesterol. My ex-wife not happy lah, because every day I work and work. Holiday also I have to go to work. So from there, I have some misunderstanding. Once the care corner, they come to my house, then he approached me, asked me to come down to the care corner. Then I think I just go and try. They got a lot of exercise, your head exercise, your arm exercise, until the end of the leg. First time I go there and join, I say I feel very tough. I cannot take it, the exercise was very tough. Then my friend all said, first time is like that, it's quite tough. He said, just take your time. Then I just try to go again. So I go for checkup. The doctor said, hey, your health better. He said, now. After I joined Care Corner, I feel my life changed a lot. Said, not lonely. Then my health become better. Then got a lot of friends there. After exercise, we get breakfast there. I said, I cook kambing soup. So once we cook, everybody very happy. I say, very nice. So we start every week, 1 week once we cook. Then they buy bread, French loaf, then we eat together, all happily. Anything that I need help, there is somebody beside me. I want to tell to the Care Corner, to all the staff there, to thank them so much. They help us to change our life. I don't have any family now, but I have Care Corner become my family.
I'm glad I've some of my colleagues, especially from our senior services present here, and I think the work that they do to me truly is life-changing and transformational. I think the part that touched me the most, from Mr. Abdul Rahman's story was in the past. I think he mentioned that he's not lonely now, and then he mentioned that his life has changed. That even though he doesn't have family, the community that he has built, with his friends in Care Corner now is his family. And I think that's what a thriving community is all about. I think we've heard so many different ideas, but really how can we, continue to see more of Mr. Rahman's in our community and not just see this as, one isolated case or testimonial, right? So for us to go further, because I think one of the briefs I got was, we need to be bold. Can we have some bold ideas and challenge the community further? Maybe just 3 quick ideas that I thought would help us maybe think a bit further. And here the idea is, again, really, the future is here. It's just not here everywhere. So how can we continue to work on this, right? And as I was preparing for this, there are different initiatives, important ones. For example, how we have started to use AI, right, to spot health risks before they escalate. And there's a lot of good work that is being done. And I know recently there's also a center for AI in medicine that's been launched that will really, accelerate all of these different developments. We are starting to see a lot more community-based care teams. I think in Prof. 𝗔𝗯ance message, he shared about 𝗖𝗍 and how teams are coming together across disciplines. And then for us in Care Corner, we are starting to see a lot more seniors volunteer, right? And volunteer in ways that, in fact, sometimes doing the responsibilities our staff would normally do. So in the series of Christmas parties, Chinese New Year parties, these are now all being organized by our seniors, for seniors, as opposed to, our own program staff having to do all the work, right? So, but there are 3 things that I thought we could really further ourselves in. So the first is our relationship with data, right? We already have tools like NHG Cares app, and I think that gathers a lot of valuable, health wellness data. But let's imagine going even further. Okay, is it possible for us to work towards a real-time dynamic health map for every neighborhood, powered by, anonymized data from wearables, pharmacy sales, social media sentiment, even environmental sensors. I still remember, during the tail part of COVID, they were looking at wastewater, data from wastewater to gauge how we're doing with regards to COVID, can we take all of those different datas and then we use AI to help us interpret early warning signs that then we can respond to as a community? Can we work towards those possibilities? Especially when we're able to use the data, not just to react, but to anticipate, from treating illness to actually promoting wellness. But for that, I do believe we have to continue to develop our ability to be data savvy, right? To interpret data, to spot early signs, ask the right questions, and be able to act, before health issues occur. And why do we do this? Because if we want to add, that 15 million healthy years to life, we must find new ways to harness data so that we can act earlier, smarter, and more humanely. The second relationship, I think, is something that we, are very much familiar with, and that's the relationship with partners. And I think we are starting here with each other, healthcare and social services. How about if you see yourself as both healthcare and social care professionals? So I guess the idea is, how do we start seeing ourselves as both and blur the lines between what is a healthcare professional and what's a social care professional? And I think we are already starting to see more of this, right? Of course, we work in a team, trans team. We've got the different initiatives, like I mentioned earlier, with Relate COC. But let's imagine going even further. How about really having integrated neighborhood teams where health and social care workers co-locate, right? Operate out of, care hubs, share data, and are able to jointly manage cases so that they can address not just the symptoms behind health issues, but really go into the root of it. But of course, to get there needs to be things like, we need to work on improving our shared goals, have more interoperable systems. And I think what, I took away from what 𝗪𝗪𝗁 also shared, we really do need to have trust. But that trust is so that we are able to truly listen to each other. So because again, if we want to add healthy years, to life, we must raise the bar on how we partner and tackle health, not just medically or socially, but we have to tackle it holistically. The last relationship is actually the relationship with the community. And we cannot forget, this great untapped resource. And again, I'm inspired by Nigel's sharing, of how the community is the cure, and how are we able to really work with the community. And in our case, for us as Care Corner, how do we work with the vulnerable families? How do we work with our seniors, in taking greater ownership and participate, in delivering those health outcomes? So when we invite, our community to lead, to befriend, to mentor, to serve, actually something powerful does happen. Dignity is restored, purpose returns, and of course, health improves. And you can see that from the example of Mr. Raman. So let's imagine going further. Okay, neighborhoods where residents actually co-design and co-deliver services. Not top-down systems, but community-owned partnerships, where residents don't just receive care, they actually help shape care. Now, what does that mean? It means they help set the priorities. It means they help co-create the solutions. And in some cases, maybe even vote on where budgets and resources should go to. So that's the challenge, yeah. But of course, to make this a reality, we need to make sure that our community is provided with information so that they can make informed choices, right? And it also requires for all of us to feel comfortable to flip the power dynamic and not to just see them as recipients, where services are not just done to them, but really it's about doing it with them, right? Again, for that to happen, we can go back to the first point, the first relationship, where we can have maybe community health dashboards, where it provides more real-time public-facing data. Of course, privacy concerns are addressed. And that allows the communities, right, to see what's happening and be able for themselves to also respond to how they can actually address some of these issues. And again, because we want to add healthy years to life, we must see residents not just as patients. We must see them as active participants. So in closing, with all that said, we need to return to the heart of really the vision, right? And the vision really is its people. Because people like Mr. Raman remind us that to truly thrive, we must feel seen, we must feel valued, we must be connected. Because his healing didn't come from medicine alone, right? It came from being part of actually something bigger. And that's what thriving looks like. And so now, I think it's for all of us, to write the next chapter, to think bigger, to build communities where every person, young or old, well or vulnerable, has a role, a voice, and a deep sense of belonging. Because if you want to add healthy years to life, and I'm going to borrow what Eugene shared, we need to add life to those years. And let's build that together. Thanks everyone.